What kind of interesting circumstances have you had to say, you know what, we could do that?
A really fun one that I'm doing with right now with one of my surgeons is he drives his RV all over the place, okay? And he takes his wife, his newborn baby, his dogs in an RV and drives up to his assignments from California up to Washington. Logistically, it's kind of a nightmare, but we can make it work.
I think the key things, folks, is that with locums, you can make it look any way, anyhow you need it to look to make it work for you. All right, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I am your host, Dr. Nii. I'm joined by my post-call co-host, Mad Tired,
Dr. Renee. Dr. Renee.
That's basically how you are right now. Y'all, Renee just got back from her weekend of call where you were gone from Friday all the way till Monday.
Yes,
we're recording this on Tuesday, so you're still a little tired.
So, yeah, a little recovery mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little recovery mode.
So, everybody, we're two locums docs trying to make it work. If you don't know what locums are, go ahead and check out our previous episodes where we talk about what it's like to be an independent contractor, also known as being a locum tenens doctor. We've been doing this for well over 10 years, whether it's full-time locum tenens where we dictate our own schedule, or maybe even just we were employed and we're working at a hospital, and then on our part-time, you know, our part-time hustle will be doing locums. We did that when we had to pay off all our student loans, when we had to pay for IVF, right, in vitro fertilization, and that was like 25 stacks a pop. So we know our way, you know, back and forth with locums. So we're kind of talking about that today, but more in line with how it works with me and Renee, right, raising two kids.
But we did get that question from those two docs.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we got two questions from two ER docs who want to basically leave being employed. They want to be locum tenens 100%. And not only that, they want to actually do their own agency. Like they want to be a company that is contracted with different doctors, and you go there and you go there and you go here, you go there. They want to do all that. So we did that, and it was an amazing experience, kind of, sort of. It was great, though. It was dope.
Yeah, but this is part 5 in our locum tenens series. So if you miss parts 1, 2, 3, 4, you should go back to the previous episodes and take a listen, because we break it down so that it
will forever be broke.
Yeah, that's what you like to say.
We got that from Love Jones, one of the greatest rom-coms of all time. I forget what year it came out, 97, 98, but one of the best rom-coms of all time. But yes, that's what we are doing.
Yes.
So look, let's jump right into this. Let's stop BS. Let's jump right into it. So let me ask you some questions. So you just finished locums for the weekend, right? Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, right?
No. Friday night, Saturday all day, Sunday all day, into Monday morning. That's when I got off.
All right. So either way, you ain't in a bed. You're not in our bed, you know, from Friday until Monday.
I'm in Hampton Inn's bed.
You're in Hampton Inn's bed.
Maybe. Or in the on-call room's bed.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Because also one thing that y'all don't know is I had just finished doing locums earlier in the week. And 2-3 days later, you're gone.
Yes.
We try not to do that too much, but you're gone. I'm just with the kids. Let's talk about it. What do you like most about being away for 3 days?
I like what I do. I like delivering, you know, so it kind of,
you see where I'm going with this, guys? What do you like best?
Anyway.
I know you like being away from us.
No, I don't like being away from my family.
Okay.
That's not what I would say. Okay. I don't like being away from my family. But I do enjoy delivering. So that, like, you know, when that time of the month, if you will, comes when I have to go to work, you know, I kind of look forward to, like, okay, like, you know, who am I going to meet this weekend? So that's always interesting. I do like some peace and quiet. That I do like.
So what you trying to say?
Y'all are loud up in this house.
Y'all is the kids.
Please, Nii, please. The other day you refused to make them go to bed. You was chasing them around. Yeah, okay. Y'all.
So it can get a little noisy. 3 boys, a lot of testosterone.
3 boys.
I get it. So you like the, what do you call it? You like the quietness.
I like to have a little peace and quiet, you know, a little bit of time that I can, you know, just work on things, or sleep, or just veg out and watch TV without having
John
to
Wick.
think.
Yeah. That's your shit, right?
John Wick. Yeah, I didn't watch John Wick.
John Wick is always on whenever you're on
It
call.
is always on. Either that or, what's the name? Jackie Chan and...
Good God, you all.
It ain't you all, it's y'all.
Y'all.
Y'all. Y'all.
and Chris Tucker.
Rush Hour.
Rush Hour.
Rush Hour.
Yeah,
You like that
either
show?
that or Rush Hour. Those weren't on this weekend. But, I just kind of like to get things, done that, previously I needed to get done. Or, because usually when I'm home, I'm trying to get things done, but I'm often interrupted by just everything else going on. Or
Yeah, you got to pick up the kids. You only have a finite amount of time. Once you drop the kids off, you only got like 4 or 5 hours. Then you got to pick the kids up, and then you got to make dinner. And then it's even worse when I'm not there.
Right.
And you got to do that for a week on by itself. But when you're by yourself, do you find yourself ever pampering yourself? Like, do you...
No, there's no time.
You ever get get a pedicure, manicure, or anything like that?
I'm on call.
Okay, it takes, 40 minutes to do that?
Yeah, so then that way I put my foot into the water and all this kind of stuff, and next they're like, hey, we got emergency C-section.
Just to show a scene of you running out with your feet wet or stuff in between your toes.
Yeah.
What's that thing? Whenever you get your toes done, they put something in between your
cushion
toes.
or the whatever,
You
the
running
foam.
like, gotta run.
No, I don't actually do any of that. I
Do
just kind
you
of...
eat better or anything like that?
I try, but it never works. It never works. First of all, let me tell you something.
Okay, so let's talk about your eating situation, Nick. So you're in a hotel. Usually you do like the Hampton Inn or whatever the equivalent is for all the other services. So like, what do you eat? Are you cooking? Or...
No. I'm in the Hampton Inn. We're cooking.
So let's talk about it. Tell us.
So usually I try to take a few factor meals.
Okay.
Right? I
So
try
we're
to
big
take
fans
a few,
of factors.
Yeah, so we're big fans of factors. So I'll take a few factor meals with me. Every now and then, though, like sometimes I look at the factor meal and I'm like, I really don't feel like eating that. I do try to stick to that so that way, my caloric intake is, not too much and things like that. But I got to tell you, I don't know if you nurses out there are listening, but let me tell you something.
Here we go.
Y'all not gonna fatten me up for Thanksgiving. It's not gonna happen. I will not be your turkeys, nurses, okay? Like, why do nurses always bring in food? What's wrong with these people?
Oh, it's going to get bad. It's going to get really crazy during
What is
Thanksgiving.
wrong with y'all? Why y'all always bringing in food?
Because they spend a lot of time there. I mean, think about it. The time that you're there, and particularly...
Hold on.
But if you work there... Right? Like, they're like your work family.
Hold on a second.
Right? So you want to bring food, you want to eat
I'm
with
not
people.
complaining because because I eat the food.
You ever eat the dip?
No, I never eat the dip.
You ever eat anybody's curry?
No.
What if someone brings in curry chicken?
No.
What's your rule? What's Dr. Renee's rule on curry chicken?
There's only one person's curry that I eat.
And who's that?
Sheila Cato. That's it.
Miss Cato?
That's it. That's the only curry I eat.
If she watched this YouTube video,
I don't think she's watching, but that's the only curry I eat. But yeah, I'm not complaining because of the food, because I do eat the food, but I'm like kind of being sarcastic, like, what's wrong with y'all? Why y'all always trying to fatten up the doctors? What's up with this?
They sharing their food with you. You should be happy about
No,
that.
I do appreciate them, though. I do appreciate them.
The nurses,
because
the way how they make it work, particularly in labor and
delivery is very
But I think
family-oriented.
in general,
Yes.
every unit in a hospital has their own culture. The
Yes.
ER nurses have their own culture, which is distinct from the ICU, which is distinct from the OR nurses. And now we talk about
labor and
maternity.
delivery. Yeah, labor and delivery is more, I think it's more family oriented.
Do you find yourself like just chilling with the nurses more, or do you go to your call room, or do you go to your room and you
Yeah,
kinda
I chill.
separate yourself?
I chill a lot.
Because there's some people like that.
Yeah, no, I chill a lot with the nurses. The only time I go into my car room, because I'm a talker, so the only time
We couldn't figure that out. But go ahead.
the only time I go into my call room is when I know I'm like, okay, you got a lot of notes and you cannot be talking to these ladies all day long. But as soon as I finish those notes, here I go again. I'm out at the nurse's station. So.
All right, so since we're talking about the setup with what you do when you're at the hospital, what's the situation when you're at work in terms of where you stay at? So I know you're in a hotel.
Yeah.
So is it in-house? Like when you're on call from Friday till Monday, are you staying in-house or do you stay in a hotel and you drive in? How does that work? Get specific with that.
So, okay. So since we're talking about locums in general, I just want to put the caveat out there that it really all depends on the assignment. On this particular assignment, right? I can go back and forth between the hospital and a hotel, right?
Which I don't like, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't actually mind that. So I'm not in-house necessarily. I'm in-house for very specific things. So if someone, for example, obviously is having an emergency, or someone's kind of like touch and go with, I have to be in-house for that. If someone's on Pitocin, if someone has an epidural, then I have to be in-house. So these are the things that I absolutely have to be in-house for.
For the residents listening, or maybe even people younger, people who are not in the medical field, why do you mention, why Pitocin, or why do you have to be in-house for that?
That's a whole soapbox.
Don't get fired.
No, it's a whole soapbox, but Pitocin has gotten a bad rep.
Well, what is it about? What is it about that they have to be in-house for that?
That's what I'm saying. Pitocin has gotten a bad rep in that, it's a dangerous drug. It's a dangerous drug. And I'm like, I don't know that Pitocin is that dangerous of a drug.
What does Pitocin do?
So Pitocin is basically contractions in an IV bag, right? So it's kind of like the pharmaceutical equivalent of oxytocin, which basically makes you contract. As soon as you turn off Pitocin, though, Pitocin has, a very quick effect to be turned off, and then you stop contracting. And then if you have an epidural, they want us in-house because, epidurals do have side effects potentially with the fetus, making the fetus's heart rate go down and things like that.
So so while the patient is on Pitocin or any type of medication to make them contract,
any type of medication to make them contract. Pitocin very specifically.
Oh, you saw how damn. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Pitocin. So that medication, you have to be in-house.
You have to be in-house.
That's when you're in a call room, you are with the nurses until patient delivers.
Yeah, or I'm answering calls, or I'm in the ER because somebody called me, or I'm doing whatever, but I'm in the hospital.
Let's say you don't have any calls, nobody is actively laboring or anything like that. What do you do?
At that point, if I need to catch up on notes, I do that, or I go and I just talk to the nurses, or I'm watching John Wick.
So this is in-house then? You stay in-house?
Yeah, I have to stay in-house.
I said if nobody's doing any of that stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry. So if nobody's doing anything?
Nobody's doing anything.
Okay, so no Pitocin, no epidural. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
There's nobody in active labor. There's nothing.
Nothing going on.
What do you do?
At that point, I will go back to my hotel room.
Okay.
Or I'll go get something to eat, outside of the hospital. I'll do that. And, I'll just chill in my hotel room. I'll work on the podcast. I'll work on my business. I'll, just do other things. But usually it puts me in a mode where I'm able to just kind of get some peace and quiet and some clarity on some things that, I needed to think about.
So you're saying you like being on call better than being at home?
Who said that? You just like to say random things.
But you're saying that you got peace and quiet, and you get to do all these different things.
You like to say random things.
You get to eat all you like to. Like, what's up? Like, you like being at work more than being at home with your family?
You know what? Right now, I like being at work more than I like being on this podcast.
Wow.
Is it like that? Okay. So what do you hate most about being on call or being gone for the weekend? What do you hate most about it?
It's the sleep.
So yeah, let's talk about sleep because that's a big deal, right? So like when I work, I do 12-hour shifts. I'm in-house, and then the next 12 hours, I'm not at, in the hospital, but someone else is in-house, and then if they need me, maybe I get called back.
Right.
It rarely happens. So I get to go back and sleep for 12 hours. You are the only person on for 3 days almost?
Yeah, 62 hours.
Excuse me.
62 and a half hours.
Talk about it. Talk to me about it. What's sleep like? Are you getting sleep?
So yes and no. So technically, if nothing is going on, especially at night, then yes, I try to sleep. But that sleep is often interrupted. So I might get, let's say nothing's going on technically inside the hospital. I might get a patient who calls me, hey, I'm contracting. Hey, I think I have mastitis. My
something's burning down there.
Something's burning down there. Something's going on, right? And so these are the calls that I will get. Sometimes I'll send the patient into the hospital, right, to, be evaluated. The difference on labor and delivery is depending on what's going on. Sometimes patients can be evaluated by the nurse and then actually sent home. But
so it's almost like a cheat sheet.
almost like a cheat
They
sheet,
come
right?
in,
If
they
it's
can
just
see-
like a simple NST.
Because you send them to the ED, they not going to get called by you for like 3 hours.
Right.
Because they're going to be in the wait room for an hour.
Yes.
Then, they got to run labs.
Yeah.
And then the ED docs got to wait till they sign out before they call you. Right? Hey, can you do something about it? Hey, I'm going to come down real quick. Oh, no, I'm signing out real quick. Oh, I see how this is. Okay, go ahead.
So, but every now and then, I have to actually
truth,
go
y'all. That's the
into,
truth.
I have to actually go into the hospital to go and meet the patient there so I can evaluate myself. So it all depends on, exactly what the issue is. But the sleep is interrupted. And I'll say this, even when I don't get calls, my sleep is still interrupted. And the reason my sleep is interrupted is because I think I can't get deep enough sleep because I'm always worried about, is somebody going to call me?
Yeah.
So I wake up, when I tell you, I wake up at least 4 times.
Because you be getting that good sleep, and then you wake up, you're like, oh, did someone try to call me?
Yeah, did somebody try to call me?
You got that good sleep,
Yeah.
the drool on the pillow and everything?
No, I don't even get that deep.
Okay.
I don't even get that. I don't think I've ever drooled at work. I've definitely drooled at home, but I don't think I've drooled at work.
Shout out to the Pixel 2 watch. I love this watch, yo. This watch,
It's random.
I know it's random, but the reason why I'm mentioning it, you mentioned sleep, right?
Yes.
This watch, it's only been out for about a month. I love it. And it tracks my sleep. It tells me if I'm in deep sleep, if I'm in light sleep, if I'm in REM. I didn't even know there was a difference between REM and deep sleep. I love it. Maybe in several episodes, I'll do a
little review
on that. I don't know my random thoughts, but go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that's probably the one thing that I do hate about being on call is that, even when I have enough time to sleep, I'm not really getting much sleep.
Got you. All right.
Yeah.
Well, on my end, can I talk?
You can talk.
This is a 2-family system and stuff.
You were interrogating me. Like, where were you on the night of?
All right. Well, I got the kids.
I was at Locums.
The kids were with me. Y'all, we got a system where when you work, I don't work. When I work, you don't work. The reason we do that is we want a parent home with the kids all the time. We don't believe in nannies. If you want to know why, go check.
We don't believe in them?
Well, we don't believe in nannies in our house, right?
They do exist.
Medicine go down.
Well, they do exist. It's like the boogeyman, right? But nannies do exist. I know that, right? But we don't want nannies in our house, right? So go check out the previous episode to find out, or previous episodes to find out why, right? But I'm taking care of the kids during that weekend, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not the best cook. It's hot dogs. If there's hot dogs, it's pancakes that are microwavable, not made from scratch. It is McDonald's, it's Wendy's.
Or grandma's house. Or auntie's house.
It's one of the family members' house who can cook
Feeding
something.
them family. Here, eat this family.
It's one of the listeners, too. If you listening right now and I find out where your address is, we're going to come by your house just for a visit. At the same time, hey.
Dr. Tyree, you better be careful.
Make some gumbo for these kids, please. Why, Daddy, why are we so sleepy after eating Dr. Tyree's gumbo? You know. We just jest. Dr. Tyree don't listen to the show anyway.
He's been on it like 5 times.
No, he hasn't.
Yes.
Dr. Love listens to the show.
Make some magusi soup.
Make some magusi soup for us, okay? Some magusi, okay? But yeah, so I'm with the kids, and it's good,
Yeah.
But I definitely, even for that weekend, it's very rare that I'm with the kids by myself.
Right.
Normally it's me, you, and we're going after the kids. But it's very rare that I get the kids by myself. And I have to admit, it's tough. It's really tough from my standpoint because you got to keep them entertained. They got to do their work. You can't have them watching TV all the time. And you just goddamn tired. You're tired all the time and stuff. So that's really tough. The worst part, I think, is when I go away for a week. And this rarely happens, but it does happen quite often. Well, it happens at times where...
It rarely happens, but it happens quite often. What the hell, Nii?
If you listen to what I say, the first 75, what we say? The first 75% of what I say is bullshit, y'all. And then afterwards, you got to filter through all the bullshit to really find out what happens going on. So this happens every fucking weekend, right?
No, it doesn't.
But the first, I'd say usually that week I'm gone, but every now and then I come home and... It's also,
like tag team.
It's also the same day that you're leaving for a locums, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
So I'll come home at 2:00 in the afternoon, and literally it's like you have your bags packed, you jump in the car, and you're out.
Yeah, I gotta leave by 3. Yeah.
That's the tough because then I'm tired, and it's just we don't have enough, time with each other. And then you go and you work and come back and make it work. But that part I don't like at all. So if y'all are listening, it's not always perfect, but at this moment it works for us. And I can't front. I enjoy that time with the kids is precious to me,
Yeah, because y'all get to make a whole bunch of noise because mommy not here.
Yes.
Telling y'all, be quiet.
That is true. That is true. But y'all, that's a little window into how we do things, particularly when Renee goes to work. That's how it looks like when, that's how we do it. That's it. Simple as that. But I know that some of y'all who are listening, you still are not convinced as to the process of locum. So we've tried our best to kind of let you all know what we do. So we interviewed Jaden Bair. He's actually a provider consultant, or basically like a recruiter, or a consultant who works with you if you decide to take the next step and actually work with locums, right? So he's with CHG, right, one of the largest locums agencies out there. And we interviewed him to kind of talk about what's the next step after someone watches this video and says, you know what, I'm done. I've watched all 5 parts, and I want to go and do locums, and I want to find out what's the next steps. He's the person that you would talk to. And we interviewed him. He's mainly on the surgery side.
Okay.
Right. So he does breast,
consultant.
surgical oncology, he does trauma, he does surgery, he does wound care and all of that stuff.
As a consultant, as a recruiter, not as the physician, right?
Right. Right. He's not a doctor.
Right.
But he's the person that's going to help you with getting credentialed. He's the person who's going to find gigs for you. He's the person who's going to tell you how much you're going to get paid. He's the person who's going to help you understand how travel and all of that stuff works. That's the person you want to talk to.
Yeah.
So listen, guys, we're going to transition into that interview. It's a short one, but it's something that y'all can definitely learn from. Listen, if you got questions for us, we got a whole bunch of different questions that people have been shooting us about all different phases of independent contracting and locums, and whether you're a single mom or you're married or you're just single or you're just in medical school. Excuse me, you're in residency. I keep mentioning that. You're in residency and you're not sure exactly what to do. People have been sending us texts. So Alfred, if you can put the number below. If you're listening to the podcast, if I say the name, you're going to forget it anyway, but it's in the show notes. Check the show notes, click the link, send us a text. We'll get it right to our phones.
And one more thing that we forgot to say that we were supposed to say up front is that we have been giving you guys different resources, different free downloads for all of these episodes. And the download for this episode is 5 awesome resources that we use to make locums easy for us. So take a look in the show notes and click where it says free download. Again, if you missed the free downloads for the other episodes, go back to those other episodes and the free downloads will also be there. So, yeah.
Alfred, run the tape. All right, Jaden, welcome to Docs Outside the Box. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Everybody who's watching, we got Jaden Bair on the show. He is a provider consultant with CompHealth, locum tenens. You primarily focus on the surgical side of things, which is kind of what I do. But it looks like you focus on breast, burn, colorectal, surgical oncology, transplant, even wound care. I didn't even know wound care had locums.
Yes, it comes about. Believe it or not, it's not as common, but it definitely comes about.
Okay. Well, listen, you are here because you are the expert on your side, which is the agency side of locum tenens, independent contracting, for those who want to know. But we're answering a question from 2 ER docs who are looking to change their life, their lifestyle, as well as how they work. And they are considering locums. But we thought maybe let's give the audience what it would be like to have a discussion with you, right? Because you are, in essence, the representation of a locums company, of CompHealth, which is one of the largest companies out there. So if a doctor calls you up, how does that go? And before we get there, have you ever worked with doctors right out of residency and fellowship? I'm talking about like the new docs who just graduated.
Yes. I've worked with quite a few of them, actually, straight out of residency or straight out of fellowship. Definitely have.
Is there any disadvantage, someone just coming out? Because from my perspective, I would think no, but you see this more often than I do.
Yeah, great question. So not necessarily. Now, there are chances where a facility is mainly looking for solo coverage and they feel more comfortable using somebody who's more experienced in the game, throughout their practice and whatnot. But other than that, and that doesn't even come up very often, but that's like the only thing that I see. But other than that, straight out of residency or fellowship, we love those kinds of doctors because they're straight, they're ready to get going. They're go-getters.
They got loans to pay, so they want to work.
That's right.
Let's be honest. Be honest.
I need money. That's right.
Well, listen. Like I think when I hear the questions of this person is a new doctor and then going and doing locums, most of the time I hear the concern is usually on the doctor side. They're concerned like, well, I just got out of residency. Should I just go and do locums? And I'll tell everyone that my story is I went ahead and did it on my own. So I finished fellowship. I was at the University of Miami. We got, it was bang, bang, stab. We did a lot of trauma. We did a lot of general surgery. I felt ready, and I just need to get out there and I needed to work. So I worked in a whole bunch of different places. There were times where I had to call my attendings like at 2 a.m. and they answered, and they were available for me. So for those residents who are listening, for people who are really about to graduate and you're not sure if you should go into locums, you can do it. You can survive. Trust the process and go from there. So Jaden, let me ask you this question. So when you talk with someone who's considering locums with you, like what are some things that you are getting from that person outside of them wanting to do locums, outside of them wanting, obviously to get paid for what they do? How's that conversation? What's the back and forth like?
Yeah, so the back and forth is how I do it anyway, is we get to know each other, build a really good relationship to find out what the goals are, right? My goal is to help you achieve your goals. And so I like to find out exactly what it is that's driving you to do locums. It could just be a financial side of things. It could be you're transitioning into a retirement. It could be that you're trying to bridge employment. There are so many reasons that locums comes up. And so back and forth, we build that relationship because ultimately I want to be able to help you reach your goals. And I would say that's the biggest foundation from the conversations that we get back and forth. I can get into,
so
when you
say goals, like, sometimes would the goals be like what part of the country you want to practice, or, do you got some debt that you got to pay off, or
exactly
those type of questions you're talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. We try to find out, and, I like to be open. I like to find out, how much, if it's a money thing, and most of the time it is, if it's a money thing, how much are you needing to make a month to be able to kind of, have this be a success? And that's what I'm going to drive to make happen. And I'll be right there by your side, and I will be consultative, right? And I'll say, hey, here are some great things that we need to do to kind of get you to where you want to be. Okay.
So let's fast forward a little bit. Let's say the conversation goes great. The guy or the woman, the doctor, whoever says, sold, I want to do locums. What's the next process like? What happens after that? Because I know in previous episodes, we said that there's a credentialing process where we got to submit to you a whole bunch of our licenses, maybe even our case logs, so a whole bunch of different things. You submit all that stuff. What's that next process like? When you get all of that information, what happens next?
Yeah. So say you get credentialed with us, everything is good. The next part is finding a job. And how we do that is I have CompHealth has lots of jobs open all the time. And my job as your consultant is to tell you of opportunities that have opened up in your realm of interest, you could say. And so what that's going to look like is I say, hey, have this job open up in this place. Here's the requirements of the scheduling and everything like that. Here's the procedures that are required. I feel like it's a good fit. What do you think? And then kind of have them ask me the questions, and then we go back and forth, figure it out. If it's a fit all around, it's really easy. All I do then is I send a CV over to the facility, and we call that a presentation. And then we get that over and then make magic happen, really.
Can you talk about how big of a deal that presentation is? Because I think a lot of residents, a lot of people who are not familiar with locums, that part they don't understand. When we always say, look, you want to get permission before you get presented to a hospital, to a clinic. Can you describe that process specifically, the presentation part to a hospital? Of
course. So when I'm talking to you about a opportunity, and it's an opportunity that you like, I do ask for your permission. Like, hey, this is a facility that you're interested in. Am I okay to send your CV over as a presentation to kind of get this process started? Always ask. You want to make sure that you're always getting permission, like you're giving permission to be able to send your CV out. And then after that, though, like presentation entails of like highlights, really. Basically, it's like a quick broken down version of your CV that gets sent over with your CV. So they have like these bullet points of what is so great and what sells you from the rest of the pack. And then the CV obviously is what backs that up with all of your skills and your experience and all that good stuff.
Okay. So if a hospital says, yes, we like Dr. X, send them over, what happens next?
Yeah. So if they say, yes, let's send them over, we call that a confirmation. And so the confirmation from the hospital, they come back and say they want to move forward. Now, then I'm going to go back and talk to doctor and I'm going to say, hey, facility wants to move forward. Are you still available? Are you still ready to get going on this? Get a double confirmation. So from the hospital and from the doctor themselves, a good commitment. And then we get that sent across. And then from that point on, we start on like hospital privileging and all that stuff to, kind of get the ball rolling. I have whole teams that help with that, make things a lot easier. But that's kind of the quick rundown version of kind of getting it going after a confirmation.
Okay. Now, once that part is happening where you're starting to get that doctor is starting to get credentialed at the hospital and, a lot of those, that paperwork is being done. I think another question that we get from folks who are considering locums is, well, how much do I as a physician have to pay up front to have this relationship with the locums company as well as with the hospital? Like, how much do I have to pay up front to get this going?
Yeah, great question. So nothing really. So there will be times where you will have to like pay for a license or something like that, but you will get reimbursed right from me. I'll get that reimbursed for you. And then, so there's really nothing out of pocket that will come down your way. Now, CompHealth will cover travel. So airfare, rental cars, mileage on your personal vehicle, all depending on the situations, like where the facility is. We will book you into a hotel and we pay for that. So the only thing that like we won't cover is the cost of meals while you're out on assignment.
Okay. So for the most part, everything is taken care of except for meals. So the rental car that you use, the flight that you use, and it's just coach, right? From my understanding, that's how it normally is, right? Just coach, not
right.
First class.
That is correct. Thank you for clarifying that. And you can upgrade, but you'll have to pay for it.
Got you. So fees are taken care of, licensing is taken care of or reimbursed, but airfare, housing. And now, are we talking always hotel? Is there a possibility it could be like an Airbnb or like an extended stay? What's the gamut of options for housing?
Yeah, great question. So depending on the assignment and how long the assignment is going to be, you can choose from a hotel, an extended stay, or an Airbnb. More commonly, like with what in the realm I deal with surgery, it's, weekend call or a week call here and there. And that will be mainly hotel. But if you're doing something like 3 weeks a month or even ongoing 3 months at a time, then Airbnb extended stay to make it more comfortable for you, to make it a better experience. That's what we're all about.
What's the longest assignment that you've had with one of your doctors where they're going to like a one place?
Yeah, would you say like consecutive work? I would say, yeah. Like if you're talking like a consecutive assignment, 3 months.
3 months.
Going out from your home over to a facility and basically living out there for 3 months. I would say that's the longest I've seen on my side. Now, there's opportunities to even get longer ones, but obviously not everybody's looking for that, especially in the locum world.
My wife, 10 years ago, she did a 10-month stint in Blackfoot, Idaho, doing OB. The other thing that's really interesting is they set her up with a house. Obviously, it was like a rental and stuff like that, but the company paid for all of that stuff. I think it was with CompHealth, actually. They took care of all of that and stuff. But I'm really interested also in terms of the setups that you can arrange with doctors. Like I know that, one doctor in particular, she's a pediatric surgeon. She has dogs and she wants the dogs to go with her. Like what are some of the more interesting, what's the word I want to say? Setups doesn't appear to describe it well, but benefits.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, like how circumstance or something like that. But
what kind of interesting circumstances have you had to say, what, we can amend for that, like we can do that?
So a really fun one that I'm doing with right now with one of my surgeons is he drives his RV all over the place. And Like, it's a lifestyle. I don't know if I could live it, but I think it is pretty cool that we're able to make it happen for him. He takes his wife, his newborn baby, his dogs in an RV and drives up to his assignments, and then stays in his RV and then comes on home. I've also had surgeons where, your spouse, you could bring your spouse with you. Obviously, they're not going to come work with you, but you could bring your spouse and they can stay in the hotel and go, if you're going to a nice big city, they can go wander the city while you're working. We can make that happen. But the funnest one that I'm doing right now is definitely the RV situation from California up to Washington, back and forth. Logistically, it's kind of a nightmare, but we can make it work.
A long time ago, there was a book. I don't know where it is, but there was a book online where these two doctors, married couple, they do locums. They did the same thing. But instead of going like to one place, they would go all over the country in their RV. And they would just, drive, stay on the hospital premises, I guess, on the back of the parking lot. This is our spot and so forth. And they would make it happen. But I think the key thing, folks, is that, for the most part with locums, you can make it look any way, anyhow you need it to look to make it, to make it work for you. Then, okay, so if the doctors don't have to pay for credentialing, if they don't have to pay for the paperwork or, all the moves that occur between the presentation, between the locums agency and the hospital, how do the doctors get paid? Do they get paid up front? That's how I thought initially. Do they get paid later on? How does all that work?
Yeah, so we pay weekly on Fridays. So if you work this week, you're going to get paid Friday next week for the work you did this week, if that makes sense. Okay. And it gets direct deposited straight into your account. Very easy, very fast. There will be instances where you'll get paid by a check, usually at the very beginning, especially if you get like a rush assignment where we get you confirmed, and working within a week. You usually will get a paper check for that first one. But most of the time it's direct deposited on Fridays.
Okay. And last but not least, in terms of my questions, I know this is surgery. You may not be able to answer very well, but what's up with the people who are listening to this show? They're not just surgeons. What's up with like telehealth, clinic? Like, is the only opportunity available just you go to the hospital and work in a hospital setting? If there's other options, tell us about it, please.
No, there's lots of options. Telemedicine is huge right now. Ever since the pandemic came about, it really shot that up. Surgery wise, not so much, but it happens a lot with other specialties. So if it's, if you can do telehealth, and so if you do it, it's more than likely possible within the locum world. Clinical stuff, by all means, everything you can think of is possible within locums. It is kind of crazy how much of a reach you can get with locums.
I know people listening will be like, yo, Dr. Darko, you drinking from the locums Kool-Aid, but I don't care. For me, I think every doctor should be locums. There should be some aspect of their clinical work that is locums. If they want to stay employed and kind of do a mix of locums on the side, or just go like 100% locums like Nii and Renée have done, that's what I recommend. I think that's the best way to maintain control and autonomy over your career and to have the lifestyle. I've seen people, one of my really good friends, she's a trauma surgeon and burn surgeon, and she'll work in the United States for 2 weeks, and then the other 2 weeks she'll go to Australia or go to other parts of the country or of the world, and go and travel and just live that life. And she loves it, and she's been doing it for close to 7 years now, without any hiccups whatsoever. But guys, it's like that. I think it's a great opportunity. So listen, if anybody is listening to this show, Jaden, and let's say they are in breast, burn, colorectal, surgical oncology, transplant, wound care, and they want to talk to you, can you let them know how or what is the best way to contact you?
Yeah, so the best way to contact me, you can email me. It's just my name, so jaden.bair@comphealth.com. You could also shoot me a text, 801-930-4822. And then we can schedule a call where we kind of go over your goals and what your aspirations are with locums, and then I'll make it happen.
All right, Jaden, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, not a problem. Thank you.